A little prayer.
Okay. You start and I'll say one.
Okay. Thank you, God, Holy Spirit, guiding this talk with so much love and light for all of the divine highest beings to come and protect and just serve the collective whatever they need to hear right now. We are open to receiving. Our channels are open, to flowing. Thank you, Source. So much love.
Pachamama, my love, I gift you this body and this voice to speak what you would like to share with the world.
Uh-huh.
That's it.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I'm Eve.
I am Maya.
Maya.
You have to redo it. Do it. This is Eve. I am Maya.
And she is Maya.
Yeah.
And we are filming a podcast.
And we are.
And we are.
And we're like right by the beach.
And we are right on the ocean.
And also there's a road, so you will hear both of these things. We are in the jungle, by the beach, next to the road. And all of this is part of our environment.
It's part of our environment. And it's healing because you get to receive the sounds of the ocean and the birds and if you are
and
not
the
out
motos.
and the motorcycles, and if you are not out in nature, here's a little taste for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
And we are wild women.
we are
Wild woman.
We are absolutely wild.
We are absolutely, and we have lots of things to channel from our womb, and
in our heart,
in our heart, space.
and our experiences.
Yes, I'm excited.
So
Let's delve in.
you are also a wild woman, and if you're a man,
Yes.
I honor you for being here
Yes.
and listening to us because we need to be heard.
Yes.
Not like a need to be heard,
I like
but
that.
it would behoove you to hear us because we're coming in strong right now in the collective.
The collective is return. Our feminine energy has to be healed in the collective.
Yes.
And a lot of masculines aren't even balanced in their feminine, so they're wounded feminine, which is creating a wounded masculine.
And that includes women with wounded inner masculine.
Exactly. And so something that I heard was many times people reject people and they say like, oh, well, you're operating from your masculine, which is so... But it's not that we're operating from our masculine that's bad, or we're operating from our feminine that's bad. It's that we're operating from a wounded masculine as a feminine.
Yes.
And our wounded feminine. And when we operate from the wounded masculine, we're controlling. We are the doers. We are the try to provide. We try to control the man. We try.
Yes.
So a man doesn't not like a woman in her masculine, because a woman in her masculine is sexy. She's working. She is a go-getter. She's disciplined. She's consistent. But a man doesn't like a woman in her wounded masculine, which is the control, which is it's out of balance.
Yes.
But a woman balanced in her masculine, that is attractive to a man. Like when she can make it happen, if she needs to, balanced with the feminine energy.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean a woman with a sword. Ay, ay, ay.
Exactly. Like she'll pick up her sword and she knows how to fight.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that she knows that she has to in union.
But she can.
But she can.
Actually, every morning I meditate with cacao.
Yeah.
And what came this morning is I was kind of like in my masculine, in my feminine, in my masculine, and I really felt how I am such a self-contained unit in the world, and it's like I can step into that role because I've had to do it for so
Yes.
long.
Ooh.
You know, like for those of you who don't know me, which is probably most of you, I lived in my truck for 10 years, and so I was responsible for my own safety. I was responsible for finding my own work. And I just traveled through the world with this kind of... Sometimes I think of it almost as an armor, but it's like a golden armor. So it's a little heavy, but it's necessary because I don't have that person who can pick up the slack. And so I'm
Yes.
responsible for my own safety at all times. And in my meditation this morning, I was noticing how over the years, I shrunk my feminine because I was always on having to protect myself. And not on like a oh no, I'm in danger. Not like that, but that thing, like the sword was out.
Yes.
And I rarely put it back.
Uh-huh.
And then actually one day I met this Viking looking man
Of course
on
you
the
did.
trail.
Of course.
And I was hiking across the desert. Let's see,
Yes.
what is this? Sonora? No. Enza Borrego Desert.
Okay.
And this guy, okay, I guess it's story time.
Yeah, it
and
is
this
story time.
and this man passes me,
Yeah.
and he was wearing a kilt.
Ooh.
And the reason I was there was because it was snowing in Sedona, and I'm
Yes.
like, oh no, I will not be snowed on. So I just got on a trail in San Diego County, and this man passed me, and I said, I like a man in skirt. And he turned around and was like, oh, do you now? And so we started talking.
That's amazing.
And he was tall and broad, and he had red hair.
Yep.
And his name was Miles. His name still is Miles. And Miles, after about 15 minutes of talking to me, Miles said, you want to go to Cuba with me? And I went, and he said, oh my God, you're thinking about it. I said, well, is it a real offer or what?
Yeah.
And he said, well, the thing is, I've asked a lot of people, nobody said yes. And I said, well, I don't have the money. And he said, I have the money, I don't speak Spanish. I'm like, I speak Spanish. And so 3 days.
Okay.
So 3 days later, I landed in Cuba with a stranger. But what was fantastic about this is, I mean, it was meant to be.
Yes.
He's still a really, really close
100%.
friend of mine.
Yeah.
But it's like, we actually ran out of money because his American card didn't work in Cuba.
Wow.
And so I slept on sidewalks. I
Yes.
slept on the beach. I slept in bus stops. And I never felt safer. And it was like, I would just curl up in the corner and I'd be like, I guess I'm having an adventure. But
Wow.
Miles was there and he would stay up and he would guard me.
Wow.
And I was like, and it was the first time that I, by contrast, realized, wow, I have been so on. Like I need, like that masculine
Wow.
aspect of me. I have a great inner masculine.
Yeah.
But it's like, I think he was tired. And it's not like, I don't need a man, but to receive that sort of like, you rest now.
Yeah.
I've got this.
Yes.
And vice versa, right?
Yes.
I was in Temascal once, and the leader, this woman was Hopi, said, in our culture, the man always walks in front, and the woman always walks in the back.
Yeah.
And the older women that were there kind of went like, why is the man in front? Like feminist, no. But she said, no, it's not like that. The man is responsible for protecting the woman in the physical world. The woman is responsible for protecting the man in the spiritual
realm.
world. And we are equal, they're different.
This is
And
so
so if
beautiful.
the woman can receive the protection of the man receives the protection of the woman.
Yes.
And then they become this item where each person's strength is acknowledged and recognized and celebrated.
Yes.
What a gift.
This
And
is
so I got to experience that.
Yeah, I'm grateful that you were able to, because some women go an entire life without being able to feel that in this society today.
Yes.
Because of the way that things have changed. A lot of women are strong, but not because they want to be, but because they have to be in this society, in this world. But not that we want to be strong, it's that I don't want to be strong. I want to be soft. I want to be fragile. I want to be, I don't want
Sometimes.
to, of course.
I want to be the whole spectrum.
But I think that a lot of my life I spent a lot of time being the woman who wanted to show a man that I was stronger than him, that I was more independent, that I didn't need him. And so a lot of women are today walking around like, I'm an independent woman, I don't need any man. I don't need a man to do this. But we are at nature created for a man and a man for a woman. So actually, at nature, we do need men, and men do need women.
Yes.
So to walk around like, I don't need a man, I can do it all myself, and then to operate in that energy is to be like, I'm gonna show men that I can do more, and I can be stronger. And I spent so much time in that wounded masculine, trying to be this very alpha, very strong, and then now coming into my soft girl era, which I'm like sinking into more of my feminine energy, and that's the energy that actually will attract the masculine that is ready to hold you.
Right.
Because a true masculine will not be attracted to a wounded feminine who's operating from her wounded masculine.
Yes.
He will not see her. He will know. and he will know that he will not have a place in her life because she will not give him the space to be that man in her life because she will always try to be dominating. I got it. Don't worry. And
That was
and then
me.
and then what's his purpose? What's his role? What can he do for you
Right.
when you're operating
So
like that?
like that was most of my life. I also went through this whole transformative journey of really embracing the I receive.
Yes.
You know, like I receive gracefully. Like, oh
Yes.
man, I was that girl. It was like, why did you open the door? Do I look like I cannot open my own door? I was like, don't touch my truck. That's my truck. I will fix it myself.
Yes. Yes, all the way. Today even, someone, it was so little, but yesterday it happened. And we're always faced, I think, in our realities with little moments where we're tested. In a sense, are you still operating? Are you ready to receive what it is that you're
Yes.
asking for? I say I'm ready for union. So divine source, God, spirit is like, okay, I'm going to put
Let's see.
I'm going to give you little experiences to see how ready are you. So the other day when I was at the gym, this man I was filming and I was setting it up on my own, and he goes, well, can I film it for you? And my initial reaction was no. I got it, like it's already, I can set it up. But then I was like, this man is offering to film my video for me, and he's cute. Let him film it. What is your resistance? So that was my little initiation. Like, okay, I had to let my guard down. Please film it for me. Please. Like, stepping into your feminine, you know? Like, yeah, men want to do things for women. Like, they feel that actually gives them a sense of belonging and purpose, and it makes them feel good when we let them do things for us. They want to buy things for us. They want to take the videos.
But if
they
if I can wrap it back.
Yeah.
So again, morning meditation. It was
Yes.
about a week ago. I wanted to really push that one. I wanted to be like, I receive. I
Yeah.
receive. Like mosquito bites me, I'm like, thank you, I receive this. You know,
Yes.
like I'm sweaty, I'm sticky, I receive this. Everything is
Yeah.
for me, everything I receive. And I did this for so long. I did it for like half hour. Oh, it feels good to receive. 45 minutes. Oh wait, there's a bit of a shame.
Ooh.
Like I hit that wall of shame.
Ooh.
The shame of receiving. Like, who are you? Who are you? Like go do it yourself. Like, are you weak? Why are you like, you know, do you think the universe is your sugar daddy?
Ooh.
Like, go and get it yourself. So I hit that wall. And I was like, whoa, this is interesting. I have this in my subconscious, and I stayed with it. Oh, it felt so icky.
Wow.
And I was like, I still receive. I receive that feeling of ickiness. I receive the shame. I mean, I was intense about it. I'm like, I'm not
Yes.
quitting. And I hit about an hour, actual wall of fear. You are in danger if you receive. It's like, and you know, some of that is childhood. Like, so I was in boarding school,
Yeah.
and very quickly I figured out my mom was using my allowance to control me. So I taught myself how to read tarot cards, and I could read the line.
Yeah.
I'm in boarding school. I have 17 girls who want to know if the guy at school likes them, you know?
Yes.
And I started making my own money.
That's an alchemizer.
I was 9 years old.
An alchemist.
And
Yes.
so then my mom would be like, do you need any money? I'd be like, no, thank you. And so
Yeah.
very early on, and my dad had this, I remember him talking about me like, wow, she's so independent. She's 9 years old. She's making her own money, and this pride
Yeah.
installed the programming of it's good to be independent. And so the shame that I first hit was that, like, dad will not be proud of me if I'm taking,
Oh.
because dad is proud
That
if
you're
I do it myself. That was
independent.
really deep because it's childhood stuff.
Wow.
And then the second wall was, you are in danger. You can be controlled.
Yeah.
Like, if people give you things,
Yeah.
what will they want in return? And it's like, unfortunately, that does happen a lot.
Oof. Okay, so this is getting to the root of where these things are stemming from, in the feminine, which is collective also, because it's happening in the collective. Many women from a young age have been taught that doing it on your own, your father, right, you get praise when you do it on your own.
Yes.
And your father and mother maybe tell you, you need to find a rich man who has this money because you're not gonna. So then we have this desire to go out and do it on her own to prove, right? I can do it on my own. I don't
Well, you know
need...
the funny part?
Yeah.
I did marry a millionaire. I was 29 when we got married. We were together for 13 years.
Yes.
And it's funny to have this conversation because I'm remembering things I haven't thought about in years. And this is so not where I thought this conversation was going to go.
But it's what is collectively we have left. Yes. We have
But one of the
surrendered.
thing was, when I first met Chuck, he used to say, I don't think I can change the world, but I believe you can. Let me take care of you so that you have the space to change the world. So really, in my 20s, I was offered the sacred masculine.
Yeah.
But my reaction to it was like, I don't know. Like, I've been independent since I was 9 years old. And Chuck was like, it's just for a little while. You quit, you get the degree you want. Like, I wanted to study linguistics.
Wow.
That was my second degree.
Uh-huh.
And so Chuck was like, I'll pay for it. I mean, he's a millionaire. It's nothing for him. Like, school tuition is nothing.
Wow.
But I needed money. And I couldn't ask Chuck. And so he...
Because of your blockage.
Yes, but
Not
but
because
it was
he wasn't willing.
but it was a long time ago. It was before I awoke. It was before I had any concept of higher consciousness or spirituality or wounds, or and I knew nothing. I just had this great guy who wanted to pay for my school and give me money, you know. And so the way we fixed it is we found this beautiful white rock with like black speckles, and we put it by the door. And I would say, "Hey, babe, the rock needs money, not me. It's the rock." And Chuck would say, like, how much does the rock need? And I'm like, I think the rock could use about $50. I'm just talking to the rock. You know, that has nothing to do with me. And then Chuck would make jokes about it, like, oh, that rock, it's always asking for money. And then it became like this joke.
That's so
and then Chuck would actually put the money into the rock. I mean, Chuck, I have to say, like, any quirkiness I put to the table, he was like, all right, what now? You want money into the rock? Money into the rock.
Yes.
Yes.
Even from the story, I think it's safe to say that many women will have something right before them. A real man. A man who is ready to provide. A man who's in his masculine.
I was not
a man,
ready.
Exactly. It's many women are at that point where they're not ready to receive the love that's right in front of them. Meaning a man will have so much love to give you, but many women run because they don't know how to receive the love. And that's why we do the healing work. It's not to, we don't heal so we can hold more pain, because we have held pain our entire life.
Yes.
We heal so we can hold more love when it's right in front of us. And when a man has that to give to us, yet when we are not healed enough to receive the love, we will reject it. We will run from it, and we will feel guilty for receiving it. We will feel not worthy of receiving it, and we will deny it. And so we will always, and actually when we're given that real love, that love that's true, we will always test it. We will always try, and because we will not believe that it's true. But when we get the wounded, when we get the toxic one,
you're like, oh, I know you.
So that's the familiar.
Yes.
So you're not testing that relationship because you know the off and ons, you know the toxicity. But when it's consistent, when it's boring, like many women say, well, it's boring. So healthy is boring because you've only known toxicity for your entire life.
I know.
So where the boring relationship is...
The really crazy ones are fun, though. Shouldn't say that.
I feel I'm at a place where I can't do crazy. I can't do off and on because my nervous system is asking for rest. And like you were saying at the beginning, when you first experience that man, it's our nervous system as women that can finally rest.
Yeah, he was intense too, though.
But in general, let's say more of when you're in union with someone, what they do provide a man who is in his masculine is a space that you can build on. They give you a foundation so you can rest, and where you rest, you root, and then you can bloom in that space because they're given.
I want to add something to what you just said. Yes, to everything you're saying.
Yes.
But there is a danger. So I can tell you how the story ends with that wonderful ex-husband. Yes. What happened is, over the course of 13 years, we ended up with a father-daughter relationship because he was the provider and the only archetype of the provider I knew, and so I had not stepped into the queen, and so there is a danger, even if the sacred masculine comes your way, if you have not, and so this is where having now 15 years
Yeah.
basically of single captainship of my own soul. It's like that work of stepping into your queen. And so if a man, and you know it's happened recently, I'm talking like 2 weeks ago, an amazing man. It was the day that I did the receive meditation, and you know that story, right?
Yes.
I receive. That day, a man who is very much into a sacred masculine offered to take me shopping for Christmas. There's nothing romantic. There is no tide. No weird tide. You know, it's like, no.
No strings attached.
No strings attached.
Right.
I just want to gift you these clothes. And they were pretty expensive clothes,
Yes.
too. But what I observed is I turned into a giggly little girl. And so I'm in my queen until the masculine offers. And I mean, it's great because I saw it this time. And so I would say to women out there who are listening, it's like, if you are not firmly established on your queen, it's like, so what you say is right. You have two choices. Either you accept the help, you accept the masculine, but then you turn into a little girl, or you reject it.
When you're in your wounded, when you are wounded and you're not in your higher queen
But
self.
even when you're in your queen self, you can be like, because right now I feel like the queen, like I am embodying
Yes.
it, which is why this offer showed up.
Yeah.
It's like I attracted it by my presence. He was like, "Oh, that's a queen. I want
Yes,
I want to
yes.
gift her something."
Uh-huh.
But I immediately, like old programming, went.
I'm
you
a
know.
little girl, my dad.
Hi, hi,
yeah.
thank you, hi.
Well, you know, okay, so what I love you. What I'm like receiving is, I think that's because many of us lacked a father who was actually healed. So as little girls, when we have fathers who aren't healed, who don't gift us maybe much, who don't show up in the way that a masculine who's healed would, in a sense that my father too didn't just go out and say, hey, here's money to go get your nails done. Hey, I want to take care of you. I want to make sure you're, because he didn't do that for my mom. So my whole youth was watching my mom not get treated the way that a man should treat a woman. But it's the reverse roles also. They're both wounded. So there's a wounded relation, and I'm witnessing and I'm observing. And what does that mean for a child? I believe that that's love. Because we only know love, which is standing before us. Because my dad says, oh, I love you to my mom. And my mom says, oh, I love you to my dad. After they fight, after they're toxic, after they're... And I'm like, what? So that must be love. Or I get slapped and then I get told I love you. What is that? So now I know love as abusive. So guess what? I will go out to attract in relationships that are abusive because I know that as love.
Yeah.
That was my programming. So in order to become the queen, I have to take the programming and deprogram it to reprogram it into what a healthy love looks like for me, which is by my experiences. And the loves that I'm able to receive now was not a love that I could have received then. I've done work so that the relationships in friendships, in lovers, and unions is healthy. It's a healthy love. But before I was attracting in ones that would play out those stories of this is what love is, this is what healthy love looks like, this is what I'm worthy of receiving.
But you know what's interesting is, okay, like my dad is my best friend.
Yeah.
He was when I was a little girl, he still is to this day.
Yes.
But it's like, what is the masculine to do? It's like, talk about conflicting messages.
Yeah.
It's like, you have to be the sacred masculine and take care of me. Oh, but not too much. You have to support me in my independence.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, you need to provide. Oh, but not too much because I can take care of myself. And so, like, I can see through your words, I am realizing, basically it comes down to, what era of Disney princess are you? Right? Are you, because look at Mulan, look at Brave, look at Moana.
Yeah.
Right? It's like there is
and
even
Cinderella
Pocahontas. It's like, well, like, but if you, so like the early princesses is like, okay, mom's dead.
Yes.
There's an evil stepmom, you know, but dad provides. I mean, he's kind of absent, but he does provide for the whole family. He's just not there.
Yes.
And then like all the princesses are the same thing. And then as we evolved ish, now we have like these strong women, and I saw that, I still see that as a step forward, right? It's like, it's kind of like, that's right, now women have swords, women have bows, you know, women are like, they'll get on a boat by themselves. We don't need the prince. Like, I loved how I'm not actually into Disney princesses that much.
I love that. It's so funny that it's coming up a lot in my reality.
Yes, and it's like, I mean, I love that the true love in Frozen is the sisterhood, right? And there is a prince, and you're like, oh, this is going to be the prince, and then the prince is a jerk.
Yes.
You know, and then there's this other love interest, and he's like, yeah, he's just kind of there. He's the best friend, right?
Yes.
And it's like, but the true love at the end is the sister.
Ooh.
The sisters match. And so, like, I like how Disney kind of controls, but also taps into the collective to know where to go with their heroine. But we're still not. We're still in the, like, what my dad gave me was... talk about a wild woman, it starts with a wild kid. I was a wild kid. I could not be controlled. I would get up at 5 in the morning. I was running through the woods. They didn't know where I was about 90% of the time. I would come back covered in dirt and then be like, go hose yourself before you walk into the house, you know? I grew up in Wailu, so, you know, it's like tiny village.
I could actually resonate. I was the exact same way.
Yeah, we were just talking about that, right?
Children, yes.
It's like, I'm not a little girl, I'm not a little boy, I'm a super cat.
Tomboy. And
yes.
I was so, I could do anything, and I could hang with the boys, and I could swing the bat, and I could do the flip, and I could do anything. May this continue, right? But it's like, those tomboys of us, those wild women. Yeah.
Okay, so the thing is, that's it. It's like, there's a healthy maiden, and then there's a wounded princess, and then there is a rebellious teenager, or there's a healthy wild woman, and then there is a ice queen, or there is a queen.
Well, actually, in order to become a queen, you have to be a princess. So I want to talk about the transition from the princess, right? The peasant. Remember, there's so many princess stories about the girl who was in the peasant. She was living in the village. Then the queen or the king, the prince, falls in love with the peasant girl, and then she becomes a princess, and then she becomes a queen. Ooh, so the wild woman is the peasant, right? Ooh. I'm like, we're onto something. She's a peasant, and that's the wild woman. She's out here, but she's strong, and the prince sees that in her, even in the village, and not in a strong, but she's very. Like the one I just watched, Cinderella. I just rewatched it, so it's interesting. But Cinderella, the prince saw her, and she spoke up to the queen, the king, his father.
Must be a different Cinderella than I know.
Yeah,
because the young Cinderella. I mean, we're a different generation, obviously. Yeah. The Cinderella of my generation, she's like, may I please go to the ball? Oh, I guess not. Okay, I'll just clean in the corner.
Well, this is interesting because it's talking about the eras have changed. You see, the remake was the one that I just watched, which was showing
and she's more into her.
She's very strong. She speaks up to the king, actually, and she's doing her own thing. So the new one, let's say, so she's speaking up to the king, right? She's doing her own thing. She's making dresses. She's out here as a peasant trying to sell it to the village people, and she's like, and no woman can sell dresses, right? Because only the men have businesses in this princess story. So she's out here like, buy my dress, and then the prince comes up and finds her, and he's like, I'll buy your dress. So basically that was the love story of the remake, but it's showing that as the peasant girl, she was very much knew that she was bigger than her little village. She was born into it, but she knew that she was more. She had more in her. So she came from a wounded family, but she knew inside her that she was a queen, and she did not lose the vision. So the prince saw that in her because she stood in her power. And so as she became the princess, because the prince chose her, the prince had to see that in her. Many times the man that we are actually going to be with is the one that sees the value in us when we can't even see it in ourselves. He sees that queen in you, and he will bet on you. He will put all it on the table for you, because many times we might feel insecure, and we might feel, I want to go on this stop, but we might feel insecure, we might feel that, but the man that sees the value in you, he will bet on you. He will make you that princess, right? And then give you the support to become the queen. We cannot become a queen on our own. We have to be in union. We can be in our energy, but I truly believe a true queen has a king. in order to be a queen and king, you
I
have
like
to
that.
sit at the top.
I hadn't
king
thought
and
about it
queen,
that way.
for sure. So the man and the woman are meant to help each other, from princess and prince, be birthed into their king and queendom. We support the man so he can have his kingdom, and in the kingdom we sit in our queendom. We sit at the throne next to our king, but we are helping the man also become the king by us in unison, working together, like really seeing him and his light. Also, we have to see the I love you. We have to see the man too. We have to see the value in
Yes.
him. Why are we in unions with people we can't see the king and queen within? Because we are meant to. The only reason we are friends, we are partners, is because I see you as a queen, and I'm gonna be there to boost you when you feel down. I'm gonna give you the confidence. You don't feel good today, you look good. I don't care if you don't feel good today, you look good, and I'm gonna remind you of that queen within, because sometimes the mind will make us forget about who we are.
And that's
So
that
where
part about the
people-
sisters.
Yeah, the sisters.
Upholding each other.
Yes. Yes.
Well, I wanted to say, like,
Yes.
I actually have a different order of things. I love what
love
you're
it.
saying. I love it.
Yes.
One of the things, my experience as a wild woman is that I have attracted a lot of men because of my wildness.
Ooh.
They're like, look at this. Like, look at this one. She runs barefoot. She talks to trees. She's like half witch, half
Yes.
elf, half whatever.
Warrior.
What are you?
Yeah.
And so, but then when they take it in, they're like, no, you can't be wild. You have to be mine. You have to stay here. And so, like, you know, there is a danger in not being astute enough to see, like, do you have a king?
Yeah.
Or do you have a peasant with really nice clothes?
Ah.
But it's funny because my order
I
of
like
things
this.
is different. It's
Yeah.
like, and I'm not going to talk about the wounded version, but just even the healthy version.
Yeah.
To me, there is the maiden. The princess is the one that receives.
Yeah.
Right? Like the healthy princess receives. But in order to get to the queen, in my idea, you need to break out. And so the wild woman grows up in a reaction. And it's kind of like the age range too. It's like the 0 to 7. You're in your maiden. If you do that well,
Yes.
you get to break out. 7 to 14, you're in your wild woman.
Yeah.
You're finding yourself. You're finding your allies. You're
Yes.
finding jaguar. You're talking to
Yes.
goats. You're climbing trees.
Yes.
That's my version of
I
wild.
love this.
Everybody has a different. That was my version. I actually didn't talk to.
And I resonate with this.
I was kind of scared of goats, but I did talk to trees.
Love it. Same.
But in order to get to the queen, so what's funny is it's like a spiral. Like the princess is in community. The princess
Yeah.
has a network of support. She lives in the palace. The king takes care of her. The queen takes
Yes.
care of her. She's taken care of. But she
Wow.
breaks out into independence. And now she's alone. And she's like, and when you're alone, you get to figure out who you are, not who the world sees you are. And it's kind of difficult to go back. Like they say, oh, you think you're enlightened? Go visit your mom, you know?
Wow.
True story. And so then you break out into this wild woman and you get to like fall in love with yourself. You get to like, oh my God, look at, I can climb mountains. I can live alone. I can get degrees. I don't need anybody, you know? And it's like, but then it gets to that place where you're like, I'm lonely. And unfortunately, you can tell what stage I'm in. Unfortunately, when you step into the queen self,
Yes.
when you step into the queen self, there is a like, and what I have learned this year is, so the last ayahuasca session I did,
Yeah.
she made me purge everything that was not queen-like. Like literally, I was in the bucket saying, she's like, let it go. And I was like, I welcome it. Anything that's not queen-like, let's get out. And I did.
Wow.
And there was so much gratitude and the world was beautiful. And I stepped into my queen.
Wow.
And I said, wow, this is such an amazing, and you guys don't know, she knows I'm a writer. And so as always, when whatever happens, there's always a part of me, I call it the storyteller, that's like,
Yes.
how will I tell about this?
story.
How will I put words to this experience that transcend words?
And every artist has that.
Yes.
If it's a writer, if it's a poet, if it's a speaker, if it's if someone who paints, but it's beautiful
How
because
do
you
you
were like,
do it?
how can you bring that into this
Into physical.
to create a story for others to feel what you felt? Okay, where you took this is making my heart like explode because I see it. The wild woman is, you grow up in maybe a wounded family. You're the peasant. Maybe you didn't have a lot of money. Maybe you didn't, right? But you believe within that you are more. So you're wild. You're exploring. You go out in the world.
And
you
you
might
acquire
travel.
skills.
You acquire skills because you're independent. Because of
Yes.
your independence too.
Yes.
That's what's pushing you. I was so independent also at a very young age, and everyone was like, "You're so mature for your age. You're so wise for your age, right?" So it sent me off into this world because I believed I could do anything. I
Which you can.
traveled, and I had, which I can. I traveled and had so many experiences, and then became the princess through my spiritual awakening. So the spiritual awakening, I think, becoming the princess is connecting back to nature, which is who you truly are. What sparked your as a child is connecting to your inner child. What gave you that excitement for life? What gave you the creativity? It's like remembering what sparked life within you and
Yes.
remembering why you're here and what is so good about life. And so as a princess, I started talking to trees, and I started, frolicking the land naked and no shoes and no
And to
makeup.
me, that's the wild woman.
Yes, and stripping. But as a princess, I had the freedom now because I was like,
Ah.
I don't have to work for other people because I
Yes.
decided I'm taking back my power. I'm not giving it away to people, to friends. I'm not giving my power away anymore. So calling back my power let me be in my princess energy.
Yes.
And so you're right. You don't need a man to become the queen. You can do it together when you have someone who
I think
sees
it's
the
more
value.
you step into your wild woman, and I want to tell you what happened
Yes.
after I became the queen because I think it's relevant. But you become the wild woman
Yes.
in transition to become the queen, and once you're the queen
Yes.
energetically, then you step into
Yes.
attracting the king.
Well, I think at each level you can attract. So I believe we have many soulmates.
Oh, I have attracted many
Yes,
wild
so
men that
I-
could run barefoot with me.
Yes, I think at every level though you attract from where you're at vibrationally. So it's like our soulmate isn't just one. You have it for each level
Yes,
of vibration
absolutely.
where you're at. So if you aren't doing the inner work, you're lonely. You're gonna attract in from that place. Now, once you're in your princess, you're gonna also attract. You're not fully your queen yet, but you're gonna attract it. You have many soulmates on your route. So there's gonna come a time, like you said, where you're gonna get lonely and you're gonna want connection, intimacy, love, like your little girl who fantasizes of the romance. And at that level, you really do have to come correct to be able to attract in a man who is also correct, to be
Yes.
able to allow each other
Yes.
to become the best versions that you can be without restricting, without possessing, without caging, without people want to like confine you, and many men will want to confine the woman, or many women will want to confine.
That's like confining a wild cat. Like
Exactly, yes.
let me
Because
out.
we are fiery. We are fiery and we are big and we have so much within us, our womb, right? We cannot be confined. It's like, but many men might see a beautiful butterfly, right? Who's flying freely, but they don't realize that the beauty that you see in the butterfly is that she's free. You want to take the butterfly and put her in a box, but then she loses her beauty. The
Yes.
value that you saw in her
Absolutely.
then is no longer the thing that you took her value by putting her in a box. So
Yes.
now you're not seeing her as that beautiful butterfly because you stripped her of her value when you wanted to domesticate her, when you
Yes.
wanted to confine her, and you want to possess her. You're like, it's mine. So you have to let her fly freely, but only a man who's truly comfortable, confident, has done the work will
and
be
is
able
busy elsewhere too.
Exactly. We'll be able to give the space. That's what I was going to say to the woman. And what you said about how that man for you became your dad. Many women who attract from a place of not being in their queen become a mom to the man that they're with. They
Truth.
start to baby.
Truth.
They want, and many women are wounded because they wanted to be a mother. So now they're like, oh, I'm gonna nurture and I'm gonna give to this man and he's gonna become.
Or like
but-
you see the potential and you're like, oh, I'm gonna help him become who he is. No,
No,
run.
because it doesn't. Yes, and a true woman in her queendom will not want to be a mother.
Though-
So then you can't. in a woman in her queendom, you're not on the same level. You won't even attract in a man who's
Yes.
wounded in the same. It's the reverse roles too.
But it's what was funny was that ayahuasca session I was telling you about. So I was wondering how will I put words to this? And Aya said, just tell. So my name is Maya, which is the name of a bee.
Yeah.
My name is Melissa Maya. Melissa means bee.
Yes.
Maya is a bee. So I'm double B.
Whoa.
And so she said, well, just tell Aya said, well, it's very easy. Just tell people you went from being Maya the bee to Maya the queen bee. And like, it was just funny.
That's
She's funny.
cute.
She's funny.
She's so funny.
But then what happened was I thought I was going to Spain. And I was going to climb mountains. And I was going to, like, climb mountains, like one of those things. I guess I was wanting to go back to my wild woman self. But no, instead she sent me to the U.S. And you know what I learned?
What?
Everywhere I went, there was like, I revisited relationships from a place, like from a new place.
Yes.
And each relationship was like, thank you so much for being in my life. And I really got to step into, and people responded different. So I got to meet them and they got to meet the new me. But
Reintroducing yourself.
But one thing that came very clear was the queen comes, the queen archetype comes with a level of service that I was not ready for. It's like, one of my ex-boyfriends has kids and they needed help. And so I stepped up because the queen steps up. It's funny because I told a friend of mine, I'm like, the queen does so much work. And she's like, no, the queen has workers doing the work for her. But I wasn't there. I was like, I repainted the house so that the kids can have, a nice place. And then my friend's roof was caved in, so I fixed the roof.
Yes.
And finally I connected with a woman I met here named Sky. She's an incredible being. You would love Sky. Sky pulled up a card for me.
Yes.
And it was the queen bee. And I was just about to come back to Costa Rica. And I was like, oh, the queen bee is coming up. And so she's reading the thing. And she said, the queen bee is all about service to the community. And I'm like, that's what happened. I was free. It was fun. And then I stepped into my queen. And now I'm in service to everybody else. And I rebelled. I was like, I refused the role of queen.
Really?
I refused. And then it took coming back here to really see... Yeah, but you know what? The queen has an elegance. The queen has a graciousness. The queen lives in a nice place because what she provides to the world is of such high value.
Yeah.
It's like, no, the queen does not necessarily. She can if she wants.
Yes.
The queen does whatever she wants.
Yeah.
She doesn't have to paint the walls and fix the roof, though I really enjoy fixing roofs and I
Yes.
really love doing that. But this concept of, like the book I'm writing, this is allow the universe to support you like a king would. Because what you are providing is a service. So it's rather than service
that was
one-on-one,
good.
it's like the queen provides a service to the community just by her very essence, by who she is. You walk in the room, and but this walking in the room I've had for a while. Like as the wild woman,
Yes.
I used to go to New Hampshire and I would give everybody wanderlust. Like all these people who are kind of settled and
Yes.
wonderfully safe in their home. I wouldn't do anything. I would just show up and suddenly they were like, I think I want to travel. I think I want to quit my job. I think I want to climb mountains. And then I have a friend who was like, how do you do it? I'm like,
There's an
I don't
aura.
do
It's who you
anything.
are. Yes.
And so now, like this, but there's like some growing pain, right? And they're like, okay, I'm going to be the queen now. And then I'm looking at my wardrobe. You guys don't know this, but I showed up in my mountain climbing wild woman self. And I was like, you cannot interview me in this. And so I made her.
And I 100%.
You were like, okay, what
Let's
do you
do
need to
it.
wear?
Yes.
And then these are the colors of my queen.
Yes.
And so I literally did not want to be interviewed as the
Wow.
wild woman. This is like something for me. Because the
I
wild
love
woman
this.
is private for me.
Wow. Oh my.
Like, I mean, I've hiked the PCT by myself. I've traveled by myself.
Yes.
I've lived by myself. It's a private, precious treasure. My wild woman is just for me.
It actually is so interesting. I was meditating on this. And something that I just wrote down, stepping into this year, right? This higher version of
2024.
me is waking up every day and showing up in the world as my queen self. Because many times I think that we don't take the space as women that we could take for ourselves. Doing my hair, doing a little moisturizer, doing like touching, like lathering myself, putting on jewelry, putting on something that makes me feel confident. That's a service that I do for myself to feel like my higher self, and I walk in that energy, and then I
like that.
attract in those experiences. But you know, literally last year and the year before that, I was wearing sweats, t-shirts. I threw out all my t-shirts when I sat with ayahuasca. Ayahuasca completely ego death, kundalini rising. I couldn't wear the clothes that I had. I got rid
She
of
did that to me
everything.
too.
I got rid of everything
Yep.
because she showed me that the version that I see within, I'm not living out of that version.
Yes.
I had to let go of everything to make space.
Low self-esteem possession.
I had to empty the cup. I had my cup so full of who I thought I was. The clothes, the jewelry, the everything, the books. I had to empty. I sold everything.
I love
everything. And I went to Africa.
it. You are so inspiring.
And you. But I know our journeys, it's similar. It's like letting go of everything that we think we are, stripping ourselves naked before the universe. Like
I
something
agree.
you said is like, I love what you said, because you said the king, maybe it's not the physical man that you think is going to come in. Maybe it's God or the universe that you need to let take care of you, that you need to let guide you, that you need to let give you the new, but you have to make the space in order to get the new. God wants to care for you,
Yeah.
to give you the new clothes, to let yourself
Yes.
feel confident, but you have to detach from everything that you have right now.
I want-
Everything.
I want to share with you my
Yes.
journey to the US.
Yeah.
So, 3 days before I went back,
Yes.
and my idea was I'm gonna go to say goodbye. I'm liquidating my storage unit. I'm up leveling, right? That
Yes.
was my idea. So I get to the US, and as I said, I revisited all these relationships, and it
Yes.
was fascinating because I thought I went to say, "Thank you, goodbye. Thank you, goodbye. Thank you, goodbye." That is not what happened.
Yeah.
You know what happened? It was like, I think I told you this, right? It's like, oh, I am still the girl who climbs mountain. I am still the girl who through hikes. I'm still the girl who lives, the woman. I'm still the woman who lives. And then suddenly, I had all these people that are me. And instead of, so when you say like, so that was funny, in the truck, I literally had one shelf for Maya and one shelf for the Bobcat, which is what people know me as in the US. And the Bobcat wears zippered at the knee and hiking shoes and, you know, sensible clothes that are not cotton because
Yes.
cotton kills.
Yes.
And the Bobcat is like flowy, goddess, kind of like. Maya, no, she's my feminine.
Okay, there we go.
So
Beautiful.
Maya was born here in Costa Rica.
Okay.
I came a full tomboy still, and Costa Rica, like this Pachamama, and it's like there's a juiciness here, and she. It's funny because on one hand, this is the ugliest masculine I've seen. You know,
Yes.
there's rapes on the beach, there's predators in bars, like ugly, right? And at the same time, she brought out of me the most feminine version of myself. When I'm out in nature, I'm a different kind of feminine.
Yeah.
I'm the kind of feminine who sits by a river for 4 hours because I can.
Yeah.
And that's the feminine. As we stepped into these upgraded
Yes.
archetypes, it's important to remember they all need to be fed. And so, let's say I meet a king, and let's say he say, you know what, come live in my palace in Spain, and I will support you while you finish your book.
Yes.
If you're listening, like, we'll leave the number at the end.
Yes, we will. I'll put it in the description.
But the
truly.
thing is, that man would need to understand that every couple of years I will disappear for 6 months because I need to go hike by myself. Because the wild woman needs to be fed.
Yes.
And that man will understand that once in a while I will come onto the sofa and I'll be like, hi.
Hey.
Because the princess needs to be fed.
Yes.
And it's like we are everything. And we cannot.
Suppress parts of ourselves.
Yes.
So, like, when you went back to the States, basically what you learned is what I'm going to recite from what I received. Is like
Tell me.
basically what you learned is that all those parts of you that you were ready to say goodbye to, you realize I'm just gonna embody them as a part of me. They're all a part of me, and I don't have to choose parts of me because it's all me.
I don't have a choice,
and,
actually.
And actually, exactly. And when we try to choose, we're wearing masks because we're trying to play roles. Well, I'm only this, and I'm only this. Well, I'm only the
Yes.
sweet girl, and I'm only the princess.
Yes.
But what about my workout clothes? What about when I want to be the sexy athletic woman? What about when I want to be, like there's so many characters, but we're all of them. As like something that you said, when you're in your queendom, when you show up in the queendom, how do you want to show up in your queendom? Do you want to be wearing, you know what I mean? How you go about your day is a reflection of what energy you're putting out there. Would you want to meet your man? Would you want to meet your king in whatever it is and how you're looking
So
and how you're...
The thing about the king is he better have a warning right off the bat. It's like, hi, you're going to be dating about 15 people. I cannot predict what one will show up. She can change on a dime. You have to think it's delightful.
That's amazing.
And I fully expect you to be that many people too. And every combination of two will have to negotiate what kind of, I have a friend, one of my closest friends and ex-boyfriend says, you cannot be in a relationship. Because a relationship, it's like you're stuck on the ship and you're going to go in the ship. You have to be a relationship.
Oh.
Because when you're in a relationship, you can,
mold and
today
move.
you are this and I am that. Let's be square. Oh, today you're going to be this and I'm going to be this. I think we're a triangle. And today, and now we're apart. And now we're coming back. And now we're a figure eight. And it's like, and I will love you in all your aspects because I love myself in all my aspects.
That's so
Let's
beautiful.
have relationships.
Wow. Relationships.
Yes.